Hey, I'm Maxence, Talent Investor LLP, working in the Paris office, and today I'm discussing with Kevin, who is part of the very first graduate cohort that we have in Paris. Hey, Kevin, maybe do you want to introduce yourself quite briefly?
Nice to meet you, and nice to be on this podcast. So I'm Kevin. I'm part of the graduate program of Paris. My background is in math and computer science. So I did a bachelor at École Polytechnique. And then last year I actually co-founded a startup in fintech in agriculture. The point of this startup was to make a buy now, pay after harvest payment solution for farmers. Basically, they will be able to buy seeds, fertilizer on the equivalent of Amazon for farming. And yeah, so I mean, for obvious reason, I mean, for some reason, it didn't really work out because of the co-founder decided to leave. But we managed to get into actually the accelerator of Hectare. So Hectare is the largest agriculture accelerator in Europe, and we passed all the rounds. We've been accepted. 1 week before getting accepted, my last co-founder decided to leave the company, but I did the first day at Hectare, and actually from Hectare, people recommended me to join EF. I remember seeing Coralie, Coralie on my LinkedIn. I think I've seen Entrepreneur First only once, and then I decided to apply. So there was a graduate program, which makes totally sense for me because I'm a fresh graduate. So yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Kevin. So today I would love to focus our discussion on team building in general at EF. So as you know, at EF, we don't think finding a co-founder is sort of a one and done sort of scenario. Indeed, we really believe in testing relationships to choose the right co-founder for you. Kevin, maybe can you walk us through your team building experience at EF so far?
Yeah. So far, I mean, now just actually yesterday, I teamed up with a guy who specializes mostly in HR, purely a business profile. But my first team, so in total, I tested I think with 3 people, one team officially, one unofficial, and I mean yesterday, and now it's an official team again. The first team I had was with one of the graduates who had experience in linguistics and cognitive learnings and implicit learning. So we met actually during the hackathon. So actually how we met is kind of funny because we didn't really, I mean, we talked to each other and didn't really want to be in a team per se. We talked to each other and there was nothing like crazy. And actually during the hackathon, so the hackathon is a 20 hours or like quite long event on at TF. And so basically the point was to find someone. So we were in a team of 4 people trying to just do something about federated learning. It's like some sort of ML techniques, so you can share data basically. And we were like 4 in this team, and EF usually recommends us to build teams of 2, which kind of makes sense. So you're more like into the mood of how it will work actually. So we decided to split the team in 2. So but the thing is, so I was with Ashna, with Ashna, which is the person I worked with. But actually, we didn't want to be together directly. So we tried to see if there was other people available. It's kind of funny, but at the end, we ended up being together. So yeah, we explored a little bit. So she presented me her work on implicit learning, and then I was like, oh yeah, at the time it makes sense with how I was studying because in my math classes and stuff, I was really into this type of learning without really the courses and trying to do it like this. So basically, yeah, I did it like this. Really learned a lot on her techniques and try to see how I can apply my technical expertise in software. And so we worked quite for a long time, about a month, a bit more, and then we decided to break up because we were not really aligned on the vision. Actually, on the long-term vision of building a company, she was more into trying to build something 0 to 1, more like short-term, so trying to make make the fastest impact as possible. And then the point is to just once she can do an exit, she will do an exit. Me, I'm mostly trying to build a company which goes on towards the IPO. Of course, I know. I mean, sometimes there's better strategies is to sell before, do an exit before, depending on if there's a competitor or whatever. But mostly, by default, I would prefer to do this. So we decided to separate, so break up. It doesn't mean we will never come back together. We never know, how people evolve or how I will also evolve. But basically, yeah, so far we did this also because we don't have the opportunity to meet other people because we built a team very directly fast. So that's why. And so then, I went on the journey of exploring new people within the graduate cohort. talked to many people, and then I tried with one guy. We were trying to tackle about productivity in R&D teams for biotech. Then we just realized that it was we didn't have the skill set because honestly, I dropped biotech in my first year of biology in first year of high school, and then you do any minor or like any more stuff in it. And for his case, it was the same. But maybe we had more expertise in R&D, but still nothing too good. So we decided not to continue. We might team up later because we were having really a good human fit, and in terms of skills also it made sense. And now I'm trying with my last team is in HR with a guy who has a pretty good network in HR for his age. He's only 22, knows a lot about that. And since I was very interested in in the productivity, how we can make people more productive. I know there's tons of tools nowadays, but just I don't know, like people are still not productive. So I'm wondering why is this the case? So we're exploring different ways, and that's basically my experience so far.
Yeah, I think you touched really interesting points, which is around the EDGE framework, right, at EF.
Yeah.
So basically, this is a sort of very powerful framework to navigate through one team building, but also ideation at the same time. And the idea behind the EDGE framework is really to understand what is your biggest sort of competitive advantage as a potential founder. And this could be, as you mentioned, skill sets. This can be, sort of technical experiences you had in the past. So markets you have sort of unique insights on, or even, a network in a specific area. I remember, Kevin, we discussed a lot, EDGE at the beginning when you arrived at EF. Was it difficult for you to sort of define your EDGE?
I think, at first, I would say it's not very trivial, because you're like, the thing is, I might know about that, but is it really an edge or is it not an edge? Or sometimes you might, you might not underestimate like your knowledge in some topics where you actually learn quite a lot. The thing is, at EF, we learned this actually quite fast, but having an edge is not about having 10 years of experience in an industry, because actually, if you have 10 years of experience in an industry, then you might accept the statu quo. And if you accept the statu quo, you can't really try to have a contrarian strategy or try to build because you're like, yeah, it's normal. And it's difficult to find problems or to find some needs that the people will need to solve. So then, it took some time. I think thanks to EF, we were able to just navigate through this and understand better through some workshop. So I felt it was pretty clear. And just for some information, my edges are first I will put it depends actually on because it also depends on the team and stuff. I will put more like a technical edge in software engineering. Then I will say catalyst, but catalyst because it touches also a bit of my how I study and my things. So I will say catalyst doer. So it means I can shift things, learn upskill myself in some topics and build. And then lastly, a market because I'm quite young and I don't have tons of expertise. But I've seen, I've done some internships, I've seen some stuff. So I feel, and also because I've done a company in the past. So yeah.
Yeah, kind of market exposure as well in agriculture, thanks to your previous experience. Edge is also a very powerful sort of starting point for ideation. The best teams, are extremely good at combining their edges to come up with a first belief about the future that will basically kickstart their ideation phase. Can you maybe walk us through your edge combination with Ashna, for instance, that you had you tested previously, and what was your belief about the future, and how did you sort of combine your edges together?
Yeah, so with Ashna, we were tackling the implicit learning field, and we were looking how we can apply it. We felt at the beginning, at first we wanted to do B2C, which made sense. How can you learn implicitly about a language? We will give some examples, generate with AI, whatever. And then we just realized that B2C is a bit complicated because it's a very crowded market, especially if in learning languages and stuff. So we don't have quite any instead. So we decided to do B2B and to go to the onboarding of developers. So the way we've done this, the way we combine our edges, why this team was actually quite good with Ashna is because our intersection was, how to say, thin enough, but at the same time, we were very complementary. On her side, she has tons of knowledge in AI. I've done courses, but she has done 5 internships, a lot in all this field. So I would say that we were a team of double catalyst. I would say she was more catalyst talker and I was more catalyst doer, at least in a primary edge. Then she had, we both have our technical expertise. On her side, she was technical in AI, cognitive science, linguistics, how you can teach people to do better things, how you can really like design a sort of program to make them like, I mean, program, not a software, but like program in terms of learnings. And on my side, I'm more like into software engineering, how I can build an MVP, how I can like scale actually products, handle and play with tech stacks and all of these kind of things. So that's where we were quite aligned. So basically providing the model, AI model, and me trying to like make it work into an app. And then in terms of also market, because she has some knowledge, but also she's quite good. That's why Catalyst Talker, just coming back to the primary edge, she's quite good in sales. She's done some stuff like that. So she was quite generalist on this part, where I have less knowledge. That's why it was perfect in terms of team alignment, because we had let's say an interest which made sense in terms of intersection of the edge through technical and I mean the technical edge. But then on the other part, it was quite unique. So we had quite unique profiles, and so the intersection was quite nice on this part. Yeah.
What we're seeing a lot at EF is to test and validate is a team is the good one for you. The North Star metric should be the productivity that you have as a team. You know, we have this kind of motto at EF, which is 1 + 1 should equals 3 and not 2. I think with Ashna, you were quite productive to basically validate or invalidate hunches that you have about a specific market. Can you walk us through, your productivity as a team with Ashna, and maybe how you compare that productivity versus what you had in your previous company or what you have right now with Iriac?
Yeah, that's actually totally true, Maxence. About the 1 + 1 = 3. Honestly, I mean, I don't see the point of like building a company if I can just like clone myself and put next to me. Basically, we'll go. I mean, yeah, a bit faster, but it's not really like here where it's actually interesting. So the goal is to have really a competitive advantage, at least on the team. So the way our productivity with Ashna was interesting because we were able to move quite fast on the way we were like designing thinking about some hunches because of of our past experiences, and then from this part we just decided to let's build a plan plan of question. We divide all these tasks. She's actually doing all the contact. She's contacting everyone. I'm also participating in the calls. I was also thinking about the questions. We're really about like this type of dividing the work, but plus also working together. That was actually quite important to know how to not just like having two people doing the same task if it's not actually needed, trying to actually separate what needs to be separated, but also very important to keep a very, very close eye on what's actually going on in the company, so we could both provide insight. For example, when we were doing the calls, she was mostly doing the talking, and I was taking the notes. And at the same time, whenever I felt it was relevant, I was just jumping in the conversation, trying to ask more like technical questions, because this is where I have my edge. So I could like really understand, for example, what discussing was onboarding for developers, really understanding what was actually really the pain, and trying to do this. So it was important to have this type of. That's why I felt quite a good productivity, because she's very good at talking. I'm very good at like trying to understanding quite fast what's going on and trying to tackle the issues. So that's basically how we measured our productivity. We're doing we did quite a lot of calls. We did about a bit more than 40 calls in total, and more or less some were like good quality, some were a bit useless, but we just we were just trying to move very fast and invalidating stuff, and just trying to continue with our hypothesis. And
I think you basically touched a really important point, which is doing sort of customer discovery as a duo and not splitting that part. I think it's important that both the CEO and the CTO attend and conduct that customer discovery to gather insights together, and better understand what could be the problems and the what we call hair on fire issues at EF. Can you maybe tell me what was the most insightful customer feedback that you got from this conversation with Ashna, and how it allowed you to navigate through the ideation, like basically invalidate a hunch or validate another hunch?
We had actually, we had few conversations which were very good, because we're tackling the onboarding, and since onboarding is a problem that is not it's not happening often enough to be a problem for users, and actually the duration for the need of an onboarding is quite short. That's why we couldn't really hear this issue coming from people, because people wouldn't buy or wouldn't pay for a service that is only occurring few times. For like, basically when you see like most of the productivity tools that works and stuff, it was more like things that you actually use every day. So that's something we realized quite at the end, and also a reason why we separated ourselves, on top of just because we were not aligned on the vision, was about that, because we just realized that this, after a few calls, I remember we had one call which was quite decisive, because we were discussing with a person and discussing about the onboarding and this type of thing, and he was explaining the difficulty to share the knowledge, to update the documentation, all this kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, so for you it's really a pain, like the onboarding and stuff. But then I asked him, one of the questions you usually recommend us to ask at EF is, what are your top 3 biggest pains or like problems that you're having in the company? And the person was actually, I mean, that's a question I asked either at the beginning or in the middle of the interview, but the person for at least 15 minutes was explaining the issue of onboarding. Then we asked this question about what are your 3 biggest pain. I don't remember everything yet, but it was about communication and all these kind of things. And then I asked this guy, but why, because we discussed for onboarding for such a long time, why didn't put onboarding inside, like in this answer about the 3 biggest problems? And he just said that, it's not a problem occurring enough. So we know about it, but we're not going to pay for only that. That was actually quite a decisive moment when we realized, okay, we're building something. It's not a nice to have. It's not a must have either. It's a must have to have some time, you see? so that was the issue. And that's the reason why we discovered that, it was not perfect. But actually, navigating through those sales is always a bit tricky, because you want people to tell you what you want to hear, but at the same time it's difficult, because people are not going to tell you the problem they have. That's the biggest issue. So you have to realize by yourself, it's not it is a problem obviously, but they're just not seeing it, and it's obvious sometimes. But are you sure it's really a problem? So that's why we were, we believe that there was this thing, but then after like we just had one conversation, and this conversation was actually what we learned, that, okay, what we are doing is super cool. It's a nice to have. It can be a must have, but people are not going to pay for only this feature. So the goal will be to find if we continue together, we'll have been to find a problem that is happening every day, really a hair on fire with a tons of issue, and then you add this feature, and they're going to be very happy to have it, So yeah.
Yeah, I think what you describe is, having the right methodology to gather like not obvious insights about a specific problem. And what we push at EF is a book called The Mom Test from Rob Fitzpatrick, which is basically the Bible at EF around customer discovery, to really gather interesting insights while doing customer discovery. I would like to basically spend the next couple of minutes on breakup. So at EF, we foster that kind of testing mentality by having a sort of bubble of norms that are quite different from the outside world, right? And especially an environment where we celebrate breakups. The reason we basically celebrate these breakups, it's because we think by breaking up, you've learned something about the kind of co-founder you're looking for, and you share that learnings out loud. Can you maybe, walk us through the breakup period with Ashna? What did you learn from that period, and how did you share this with the rest of the cohort?
Okay, yeah. So this period with Ashna, so everything was going fine, like we were having productivity, we were having very good human fit, we were having a lot of good time together. So you will ask me what's the point of breaking up, and that was something I didn't ask myself, and also the reason why also it happened a little bit later. But then I was realizing we've been kind of how to say blurred. Our vision was blurred because we were working well together and the productivity was very fine. And I was like, that's either too good to be true, or like there was something that was not very clear. That's when I decided to do those 50 questions to ask a co-founder. It's also something EF gave us a PDF on that, and I felt it was quite relevant. So we walked through those 50 questions. Some things were made totally sense, so we could see a good match, and also that's why we had a good team at first. And then the 20th question on how to be, on the 50 question to ask a co-founder, the 20th one was, what's your exit strategy plan? And that's where actually we were both very rigid on the answer. Some people are like, yeah, sometimes I can sell it now or like do an IPO. But I was more by default IPO. She was more by, yeah, in 1-2 years, if I can do an exit, I can do an exit. And as you can see, if she was the CEO of the company, it could be it could have been a bit tricky in terms of things. So that was something we should have done maybe a bit earlier, the 50 questions to ask a co-founder. So that's something, yeah, I believe it would have been great to do after a few weeks of teaming up, and not after like 1 month or a bit more. So yeah, but so we just yeah. So what we've done, we've just went to a restaurant. Italian restaurant next to Station F. It's called La Felicita. We grabbed a drink and we were just discussing about that. And then we're like, yeah, in a very I'd say very positive and not trying to accuse the other one and stuff. Just being very mature on that, and just being like, yeah. We've done those 50 questions. After 24 hours, we didn't do this thing directly. But after 24 hours, we've done those things, and the next day we decided to do this thing and to discuss. And we realized that both of us were not aligned. And then we also thought about this alone, and then we realized that, yeah, we were sort of misaligned on that. That's when we actually decided to break up. But it doesn't mean that we hate each other now. We are actually pretty good friends, actually always laughing and like giving tips on who to talk to in the cohort, because we are like also interviewing the people. So really, like, I wouldn't have at all expected that it would have been like that, like such a good and positive app. So I was very happy, and yeah, and it helped me, as you said, Maxence, to see what type of co-founder I was looking. So for me, I was looking more into someone with a sort of vision. It doesn't matter if it's actually a vision for yourself for like your 20 years, or if it's a vision for a type of company you want to build, but at least like some drive behind that could match mine. And then I felt it was important. So at least if we could be kind of synchronized, have the same, wavelength on that, we could move very fast. So yeah, that's basically my take on this learning. So even though the productivity goes quite well and you can be a little bit blurred on, oh yeah, it's perfect team, we are like good human fit and stuff, sometimes there's little things that could be an issue 4 or 5 years down the road. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I really like that example of breakup, because it's exactly why breakup exists, right? You realize that you were not maximizing your outcome with Ashna in that team, even though you were kind of productive. And you quickly say, okay, I'm not maximizing my outcome right now, so I will break up now, having that hard conversation in La Felicita, and then I will move on and try to find someone else, and I will front load that discussion with other people and have that discussion like right at the beginning.
Yeah, actually, that's my first question. Like, why are you doing entrepreneurship? What's the vision behind? What is your drive? Whatever. Like, basically, I always start with this now.
So that you're aligned, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And so you teamed up yesterday, I guess.
Yeah, yesterday. Quite late, yeah.
Can you tell us more about the thought process behind selecting?
Actually, with Celiac, we discussed. Quite. I think a month ago, 28th or 29th of August. So it's been quite a long time because we already did an ideation one time. Then, because I was a bit confused if I wanted to either have a technical co-founder, especially if I wanted a technical CEO with at least a bit of knowledge, or not. And then that's actually something very important for me, because I was like, yeah, the CEO must know about some technical aspects, so understand the tech and stuff, because that was one of my issue when I was building my previous company. In my previous company, both of my co-founders didn't have this part, and I felt it was quite an issue on what we're tackling, because we're doing a fintech in agriculture with basically a tons of thing in tech. But since we are tackling more like HR related world, we don't expect a technical guy to know about HR. That's obvious, especially on productivity in a specific market. So yeah, with Serg, it was a conversation we had quite a long time ago, had some notes, and basically we were talking and we knew about each our profile and what we were looking for. It's a guy with quite some vision, a bit of ambition, with some drive, also very young, 22, I think. So quite young, but with a huge market knowledge, tons of network. Basically, he is 22, but he has a network of 30 years old guys. So so that's actually very funny. And yeah, so actually yesterday he came to me and he was like, yeah, I have 3 ideas for you. So he came, we just sat down because he knew what I was looking for, and because I was talking about this type of productivity and things I was looking for. He mentioned 3 ideas. One of them was something I had in mind. One of them was such an ambitious idea that I just loved it, and another one was more like a type of company you will build, but like it's a good type of company, but not at the same level as the other ones. So yeah, so we just discussed, and then we're like, yeah, let's team up. And so we just decided to have a little discussion and then to team up. And yeah, actually about this thing about the again going back on the edges here, what I felt was quite important is at least if because I tested working with other people also and ideating and stuff, and something I felt was that especially since we're very young, especially in the grad, we don't have tons of edge in terms of market insight and stuff. So what's really important here is either you've done some job and you realize that there's something to do, or you have a market, or you have a network that's going to help you. So you might not know the issue or whatever, but you can find the answers very fast. So I was like, that's something I need to, I thought about it a lot, and I was like, Siak might be a good fit for that. Okay, I was looking for like technical, maybe type of CEO where he's not at all technical sometimes. So that's why sometimes it's kind of funny, but on the other side, he brings a whole market knowledge and a whole network that can boost and actually do what Maxence said, the 1+1 = 3. So I thought that was quite an important thing.
Cool. All right. I wish you great things with Siak. Hopefully you will validate that team quite quickly. And all the best for the rest of the program.
Thank you so much, Maxence.